SJ. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the May PubTalk. Did you notice how bright it is outside? Did you notice how still and all no one can stop talking about the snow? Well, I'm here to celebrate that brightness with you tonight. So let's give a hand to the sun for coming out and having it be a little warmer. So how many people are in the room that have not been to PubTalk before? Raise your hand. Okay, so everybody, how many of you are new to the area? Okay, so raise your hand again if you're new to PubTalk. So keep it up, keep your hand up. So the idea is that if you've been to PubTalk before, you should talk to somebody who has not been to PubTalk before so they come back, and be nice to them, all right? So hi, I'm Julie Harrelson. I'm the volunteer MC for EDCO's PubTalks, and for those of you that haven't been here before, this is not like a normal business meeting. This is really like the entrepreneurial living room of Bend, and I sort of treat it like it's my living room, so you have to deal with my humor, which, you know, is questionable. So hi, welcome, come in. So a couple things about tonight. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great. We have such a wonderful lineup tonight. And one of the reasons that we're able to do this, I want to tell you something first, though. Okay, so we might sing along tonight. I don't know yet. We've done this before. There'll be lots of interesting data. There'll probably be some humor. And so just kind of go with it, okay? Just like trust me on this, all right? So none of this would be possible without our sponsors, which are just an awesome group. Columbia Bank, Carnot Peterson, UBS Rivera Wealth Management are the title sponsors. And then the supporting sponsors are Jones and Roth, COCC Small Business Development Center, Central Oregon Association of Realtors, COAR, and is Velox Systems here? They gave me a, where is he? Okay, so did I pronounce it correctly? They gave me a correction on the pronunciation, so I was trying to get it right tonight. So if I didn't, please let me know. I'm very pleased to introduce Corey Allen from Columbia Bank to share some words with you. Corey?
That was great, everybody. How's it going? How we doing? Good. Is Turner here? He's supposed to heckle me tonight, but I don't think he's here. Isn't Ben great, this weather, right? Like a little bit of sun comes out and just freaking clothes come off and people are everywhere. I love it. Sitting outside last night, it was not like all the way off, Julie. Layers, amounts, no parkas, no Patagonia puffies. I know somebody out there is wearing a Patagonia puffy right now. Yeah, exactly my point. Sitting out with some friends last night, drinking a couple beers, we were in shorts, just played softball. Sun was coming down, we're freezing our butts off. We were so excited to be sitting outside, we never moved, and we finished our beers. It was like this. I love this time of year. So anyway, as Julie mentioned, my name is Corey. I work with the Columbia Bank commercial team. We do commercial lending downtown here. Basically what that means is if you want to borrow money in your business, come talk to us. We'd love to talk with you. If you've been coming to PubTalk for a while, you see myself up here, maybe some other of our lenders. And the reason why that is because we're really big supporters of EDCO. I love the job they do. So I want to thank them and also our other supporting sponsors. The entrepreneur spirit here is just awesome. So for those that are new to the area in PubTalk, welcome. Glad to have you here. If you guys have any questions about local activities, opportunities, please grab one of us, ask some questions. I know banking's not always real fun to talk about, but love to be able to geek out on it every once in a while. And actually, I wanted to set, this is a true story. So I talked to how am I doing on time? 3 different business owners yesterday, and 3 totally different industries. I think the smallest one was about $1 million in sales. The largest one was $16 million in sales. All 3 of them brought up to me the exact same problem they're facing without even really asking about it. Can anybody guess what that problem was? Labor, absolutely. Could not believe it. The difficulties they're having finding workers. Is anybody else in here having that problem that owns a business or is in charge of hiring people? 1, 2 people? Come on, there's got to be more than that, right? Okay. Well, anyway, here's how myself and Columbia Bank can help you with that problem. Actually, I can't. I have no idea how we're going to fix that. But if you need financing, working capital, term loans, things like that, please come talk to us. Ask any one of us. Love to help out. So have a great night. Thank you.
Corey's always memorable. I'd like to introduce Ryan McHugh from UBS. Ryan.
Thanks, Julie. It's kind of hard to follow that guy. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit more about a serious topic. I'm a certified financial planner and hold the CFP designation, and I'm the head planner for our financial and investment management team. And so really, I kind of want to talk to you about how a financial plan is really the cornerstone of any solid wealth management or investment strategy. Really what it is you're creating a financial roadmap for the rest of your life that can probably change at any time, but at least there's one in place versus just getting in the car and winging it. And so how to basically make it simple to you is there's 2 outcomes of a financial plan. Option 1 is you outlive your money. We don't want that to happen. Option 2 is your money outlives you. You die happy, you accomplish your goals, and there's some money in the bank. So what we want to help you do as wealth managers is make that financial plan so that you can achieve all your goals and be in door number 2. Because you'd be surprised, even those of you with ample assets, it's expensive to retire these days. You need a lot of money to have a good to great retirement, secure income streams. And bad news for those of you in your 50s and 60s, there's over a 50% chance now that one of the spouses is going to live to be 90. That's 25 years of living off your money. So I tried to make it simple, but really actually financial planning is pretty complicated, and we incorporate a lot of other things with people's plans: stock options, selling a business, wealth transfer strategies, anything that you might have to do with your financial goals. So if I've said anything tonight or you don't have a financial plan in place, especially if you're 5 to 10 years from retirement, I'd encourage you to talk to your current advisor and get one, or come speak with Keith and I. Thank you.
We've been doing this thing recently with the sponsors. It's a bit of a joke, but it's actually helpful. So we've been timing them like we time the pitches when companies are coming in to present to investors. And they've all, without any prompting tonight, stayed pretty much in their time, which is good. If you only hadn't made the joke about the Patagonia puffer, you would have been within your time, Corey. So Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson, let's hear from you.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me. Kurt Barker with Carnot Peterson. I think everyone who didn't raise their hand knows John Napier and I, my law partner, we co-chair our ETIP practice group. That's Emerging Business, Tech, and Intellectual Property. So do I get to remove the mic, or does that cause trouble? Who was at the Startup Resource Fair last night? Seriously, who was there? Seriously, show hand. Yeah, I saw a lot of you there. That was a great event. I love this town. I mean, I think a really impressive event, and glad we could be a part of that. Tonight, I just want to recklessly abuse my sponsor moment by indulging in a little group therapy, if that's okay, or maybe therapy for me. Confess something I got wrong recently. Confess something I lost. If you'll bear with me as I open up my heart and soul. Not really. Don't worry. I was speaking on Tuesday night. We had a national conference here for community managers. They wanted to hear, this is a nationwide group, they wanted to hear lessons learned from after legal weed has been the norm in Oregon, lessons in the workplace. What have you guys been doing? How have you been managing? And I made a prediction. I said by tonight, actually at this point it would be by Wednesday evening, we were going to have the 9th state. Did you know we're up to almost 9? 9th state with legal recreational marijuana, and I got it dead wrong. But I want, just so it's on everybody's radar, in case you missed it, Vermont almost became the first state to have marijuana go through the legislative process, not a referendum. It would have been the first state to get it through that way. So it's on everybody's radar. The green states are now circling around the non, and just keep your eye out for that one. Governor sent it back for changes, so I think we're going to have that 9th state before you know it. 9th state plus DC now with legal recreational pot. Second thing, I said something I lost. This is just for fun. As captain of the Carnot-Peterson Pole Pedal Paddle team, we wish to tip our hats to the Columbia Bank fully depreciated athletes, whom we chased and chased. We had you guys on the Nordic, I'm just saying, okay? But I think Taylor put batteries in his bike. We're going to have it tested, and there will be a recount. Thank you.
Someone from one of the teams also said that somebody had shoes that lit up when they were running, but I don't know who that was. That was a joke. Okay. I want to thank the EDCO staff, and I get to do this every month. They're extremely hardworking. I considered trying to write a sonnet to include all their names. Why do you think that's funny? But I decided that I would do sort of a free association with alliteration, and letters and things. So Erin Chayette is the COO, and she does a lot of work with C is her last name, Cash. Brian Vieira, Venture Catalyst, does Vieira Venture. I'm doing this so you remember their names, okay? Terry Hockett, Technology Industry Coordinator, and I use the phrase hella events. Erin Riley, Erin for Enthusiasm. Elise Rossman, Marketing and Communications Director, excellent, and new to the team. Tom Rowley, totally. David Haynes, H, happy, and Capriel Lewis is indescribable. So you must meet all these people. They are the glue behind this. They put on an incredible amount of events, and there's a huge amount of work that this team does to make and keep our area thriving. So let's give them a round of applause. And last but certainly not least, Roger Lee for a quick director's minute. Roger.
Gosh, I hope I'm not timed as well. So I'll make it quick. 4 things for you tonight. We talk about team here. We do have an awesome team, and they are the lifeblood of the organization. I get a chance now to say, I'm not sure if he's in this room or the other one, but Tom Rowley is defecting from EDCO to the state of Oregon. He's going to be taking the regional development officer position with Business Oregon. So he's still kind of on the same team. He just has a little bit different jersey. We'll still let him come to EDCO functions. Oh, there he is, right in front of me. But I do want to publicly thank him. He's not been a super long time at EDCO, but he's made big contributions while he's been there, and I know he's going to continue to do so. And really, I think probably take that position, which is important for EDCO as well as our kind of partner in the state, to a new level. Since I've been here, I think you're going to do an awesome job. So thanks, Tom, for your time with us. And then also want to welcome a new team member. He's not here tonight. He's packing his bags from Mississippi. A young guy who's he's a few years out of college, but he's been working for really the equivalent of the organization that Tom's going to work for. In Mississippi, it's the Mississippi Economic Development Authority. And he's had a little experience in the last 3 years. He's helped recruit over 1,000 jobs there on $200 million in capital investments. So he's going to hit the South County. This is our Sun River Lapine area director. And so he's going to come on board. I think the 12th of June is his first day. And so he'll be at the next PubTalk. But welcome him when you see his name, Ryan Cullip. And I also want to talk just a little bit about some projects that closed in this here recently. Had exciting grand opening with the Daimler facility. It's a test track, one of, say, 3 or 4 like it in the world, up in Madras. And boy, the company knows how to put on a nice party. Had a great opening earlier this week up there. And Facebook has added a few 100,000 square feet to their campus. That project just closed out here recently as well. And then we've had a couple of breweries, Deschutes and Ten Barrel, which have also completed projects in the last month. So you tally it all up, it's $300-400 million, so not bad for a month. So things are definitely hopping. It does lower our list of pending projects down to below 200. So there's a few more in the pipeline. The last thing I would say is that anybody heard of the E2E? E2E. Education to employment? How about classroom to career? That's what's the name of it is going on up in Jefferson County. Well, basically what we've got is about 4.5 years of work behind an effort to really connect employers with students, whether they're in high school, college, university, and it's hitting the ground now. So it's interesting how these positions, coordinators to help with businesses, really figure this stuff out. We, despite my leadership, figured it out about 10, 12 years ago at EDCO, and now we just can't do without interns because they add so much value. So what we'd like to see is the 350 or so employers in our region, make that 3,000 employers who have interns going, and that's about our student population in junior and senior high, or junior and seniors in high school. As well as college and university. So pretty exciting stuff happening. You're going to see new positions hired in Jefferson County. That's the C2C. And Bend, you're going to learn more about that. I don't know if Jamie is here tonight, but Bend is happening June 6th at 3 p.m. Here in Bend. So if you want to learn more, go to the Bend Chamber. Awesome to see Bend take the lead on that. And then EDCO will be taking the lead on a position in Redmond. It'll be a full-time position. So if you know somebody who would be great at making those connections between students and employers, would love to talk to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. So we'll get into the core of our program now, and our first speaker is Kent Schnepp. Kent is the founder and CEO of Odysseus, a Bend-based digital marketing platform for inns, bed and breakfast properties, and small hotels. So let's hear what they've been up to since winning BVC 2015 and gainfully employing EDCO's former intern, Cameron Neal.
Good evening, everyone, and Julie, thank you. So for those of you who aren't aware of what Odysseus does, succinctly, we help inns, bed and breakfasts, and small hotels book more guests. And the way that we do that is we've developed a software as a service marketing platform that provides innkeepers and hotel marketers with the tools and the data they need to effectively manage their digital marketing efforts. And so I'm really excited to be up here today, and the reason why I'm excited is about 3 years ago, I was in this exact same spot, and I was presenting for the Bend Venture Conference concept stage competition. And at that time, my wife and I had just decided we were going to move to Bend. I don't even think we had found a house yet, and certainly didn't know anyone. And I was definitely nervous. And anyway, long story short, we got absolutely spanked in the competition. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. We didn't make it to the final. It was terrible. Fast forward 1 year, and 1 year we made the finals of the Bend Venture Conference launch stage competition, and we ended up winning the competition, which was, by the way, a fantastic experience. Bend Venture Conference, I've done a lot of those conferences, and it's still one of my favorites. With that being said, after we won, as you can imagine, it's kind of a whirlwind. You know, you hear entrepreneurs saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't remember anything. I'm flying. I'm doing all this other stuff." That's all true. No sleep. I turned gray, and I don't have enough time. I only have 5 minutes, and I definitely don't want to get buzzed. So I came up with a list of the 10 things that have happened since we won the Bend Venture Conference, kind of David Letterman style, except it's not going to be funny. Right? So number 10. Since the Bend Venture Conference, we have raised a little bit more than $1.3 million from a very small group of investors, including Cascade Angels. Number 9, We have doubled our team from 6 to 12 people, and we're adding 2 more right now. And almost everybody is located in Bend. And by the way, we are focused, and we're committed to our primary operations staying in Bend and to generating jobs within Central Oregon. Number 8, we expanded the capabilities of the platform significantly, and this allowed us to move upstream to larger properties and also international markets. So when we won the Bend Venture Conference, we probably had 40 or 50% of what we have built out now done at that time. And we now do things like we have multilingual support for international customers, and we integrate with over 80 different distribution channels. So it's been a big change, and a lot of hard work's gone into that. Number 7, we are now working with properties in Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, Belize, Italy, France, Spain. I'm probably forgetting a few other ones, and all 50 states, every single state in the United States. So number 6, within the last 12 months, we have helped our customers book over 27,000 room nights. Really proud of that number. Number 5, we have never received less than a 5-star review since we've been in existence from our customers. And I think that speaks, thank you, thanks. And I think that speaks volumes to the caliber of our team and also the value that we provide. Number 4, and I'm super proud of my team on this one, we have never lost a customer. We have 0 customer churn. And our customers have become a very valuable resource for us in terms of referrals. All right, number 3, we have increased our average monthly subscription, so we're a subscription-based model. We've increased our monthly subscription by over 230%. And that's from a hike in prices, and also we've added a lot of paid features. Number 2, our gross revenue has grown by more than 400% year over year, and I really think that we are just at the beginning of our growth trajectory. And number 1, we will be profitable next month, so we're just a couple $1,000s shy. So, challenges for us. Growth has been a challenge. So when we started the company, we thought that, we didn't expect that our sales cycle was going to be such a relationship sell, but it kind of makes sense because most of our customers, they're owner-operators. They own their property. It's their livelihood. And we also believe that customers would just come to us through our marketing efforts. They'd sign up on their own, and they'd go through like an onboarding process. Well, that's not been the case. They want to talk to somebody, and they want their hand held. And so we've adjusted for that. And in terms of an ask, I really don't have one other than the fact that just like everybody else in town, we're always looking for talent. Sales and development are kind of key areas for us. Customer service is going to become a crunch here pretty soon, so we're probably going to bring somebody on for that. And then the only other thing is we're looking to grow. So if you know anybody with an inn, a bed and breakfast, a destination hotel, an eco lodge, anything like that, come find me, send them our way. We want them on the team. Thanks. Okay.
Let's talk. That's the update, right? What happens next? I think we have a few minutes for Q&A, Kent. But I was going to say you shine so bright I had to put my shades on.
I was trying to sneak out. Whoa. Should have brought mine.
So I repeat the questions because there's people in the other room. And so we have some questions for Kent?
You guys are great.
My work here is done. Yes? What would you have done differently looking back?
Early team members and early employees are so critical. So making sure that they're a good fit with the vision of the company and also that they work really well together. So a piece of advice I could say would be just make sure you really vet everybody you work with, especially for personalities. But what I would have done different is I think the way in which we developed the platform, I probably would have done it 100% different. I guess the reverse of what we did. So we focused on a lot of marketing tools up front and marketing automation and kind of checking a bunch of boxes. My background's in search marketing, and so I was really thinking from a search marketer's perspective. And I should have been thinking from what are the tools that are going to make our customers' lives easier that they already really understand, because our business is 100% a paradigm shift for our customers. And so I should have led with that and then eased into marketing automation and how we're making their lives easier. So hopefully that answers your question.
Gator?
Your pricing model was quite different from the big agencies, Expedia and so forth. Have you been able to maintain that, or have you had to adjust?
So pricing model was really different than the other online agencies. Have you been able to maintain that, or have you changed it?
We have not changed our model. So our model is 0 setup fee. Well, actually, there's one change. We had setup fees for a little bit. We got rid of the setup fees because it just made the sale easier. We did raise our rates, but our model is a software as a service model. So they sign up, it's a subscription. That subscription starts between $69 a month and goes up to $179. And then there's a ton of paid features and add-ons. And so that's how we've gotten our average subscription up. No, I wouldn't change anything, because that's why we're winning deals. Typical model, you spend $5,000, $6,000, you have a retainer that's in place, and it's very expensive, especially for the market that we're in. Ours, they see our pricing model and they're like, well, what's the setup fees? Well, you mean all I have to pay is $179 a month? Well, you can pay $300 a month if you want, but that's pretty much. So I would not change anything. I think that's actually a key to our success so far.
We have time for one last question. Julie? Yes, I'd like to ask a question. My question is, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who raise money, and there are entrepreneurs that don't raise money, and you took the tack of raising money. So could you talk a little bit about lessons learned from raising funds from outside investors?
Yeah, absolutely. So we were really fortunate that we have a small group that we raised from, and we did go out and talk to a lot of different groups, and we participated in some other competitions outside the BVC. And the only piece of advice I would give is that vet your investors just as much as they're investing, as they're vetting you. And the reason for that is it has to be a symbiotic relationship. I mean, they will be putting pressure on you. And luckily, Cascade Angels, I mean, I think you guys are fantastic. It's not a high pressure deal. She only calls me and complains when I don't submit a report on time or something like that. But definitely vet, because you're going to be in business with them for the long run, and you have to have a relationship that's going to work. And you need to make sure that they're providing value to you as well, because you're giving up equity in your company, and it's typically for a small amount of money, especially at the seed or the angel level. And there has to be a reason for that. And so make sure they're the right fit for your personality, and make sure they're bringing something to the table besides just cash.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kent. And congratulations on your accomplishments. That's great. So I'd like to introduce founder and CEO of Dubs Labs, Eric Dubs, who has a fan club, apparently. And I see the president of the fan club right there, who created the world's thinnest headphones, perfect for wearing to bed. Their next product will utilize the same technology, giving athletes that use headphones a much safer option. Eric? Thanks for coming.
All right. Thank you so much, Julie. And thanks to EDCO. You guys are awesome. You guys are amazing. Okay, so. It was the winter of 2008, and I was in my junior year of college studying to become a mechanical engineer. Radiohead, you guys probably know Radiohead. They had just come out with their album In Rainbows, amazing album, by the way. And I was listening to it for the first time through my earbuds, and I lied down on my pillow and tried to fall asleep. And that lasted about 10 seconds, because as soon as I turned over on my pillow, the earbuds dug painfully into my ears. You guys have probably been there. You try to lay down with your earbuds, and they just like press inside the inside of your ear. It's really painful. And that's when I had an idea. One day, I should make headphones thin and comfortable enough to wear to bed. A year and a half later, I graduated college and got what I thought would be my dream job. I was designing propulsion systems for nuclear submarines. I grew up playing with Legos and wanted to design, rocket ships and stuff like that. So this was like right up my alley. But I quickly realized that this wasn't really my dream job, and what I really wanted to do was to bring my own product ideas to life. That's when I remember the headphone idea I had back in college. I loved listening to music through headphones, and I loved getting a good night's sleep. And I had met so many people throughout my life who just couldn't fall asleep without listening to music or fall asleep to the TV on, so I knew there was a market for headphones like this. So I started making prototypes. I would purchase headphones and then immediately just destroy them for parts. And I started making prototypes so often, it started consuming my mornings before work, and then it started consuming my evenings after work, and then pretty soon after, it was taking up my entire weekends as well. So I was working 40 hours a week at my day job, but I was spending 60 hours a week working on my way out. I would design different headphone designs on my computer, and then I would have them 3D printed and overnighted to my house. It was amazing. 3D printing is just unbelievable. So I hit this point where I knew I could do it. I knew I could bring this product to life, but I had to leave this comfortable salary so that I could have enough time to continue making prototypes. And I also had to teach myself how to code a website so I could sell the product. So after 14 months of working as an engineer, I quit my day job. I moved back in with my parents in New York. And I spent the next 8 months and my entire life savings making prototypes and flying to China to place my first purchase order for 2,000 sleep headphones with a contract manufacturer. And I called the product Bedphones. So I also spent some of my life savings having a mobile app developed that turns off your music automatically when you fall asleep. So I launched Bedphones and the mobile app in the summer of 2011, and I received a ton of publicity. It was on Gizmodo and Engadget and Lifehacker and MSNBC and Fox Business, and all these crazy websites just started writing about this product. And we started selling so many headphones that I had to actually hire 4 of my childhood friends to pack and ship hundreds of bedphones a day for my parents' basement. So what's kind of crazy, though, is all that money I spent, my life savings that I spent bringing this product to life, I made it all back in the first 6 days after launch. So my name is Eric Dubbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Bend-based product development company Dubbs Labs. We are currently selling our 3rd generation bedphones. We're selling them through dubslabs.com, our website, Fry's Electronics, Sharper Image. We're on Best Buy and Walmart Canada, and various other brick and mortar retailers throughout the world. And we sell them for a retail price of $40. Now, the headphone industry is huge. Last year, it was estimated to be worth over $11 billion. But because of their patented design, our headphones are truly unique amidst the sea of earbuds and full-size headphones out there. Bedphones are the thinnest headphones on the market. They're less than a 1/4 inch thick, and they lie flat against your ear, which allows you to lay down on your pillow and fall asleep listening to music, meditation, podcasts, audiobooks, or even while watching Netflix in bed, which is what I use them for all the time. It's important to note, though, that bedphones are not noise canceling. They don't go inside your ear, and they don't have any noise canceling circuitry. And they're also, they're not earbuds. They don't go inside your ear, as I said. So they just lie flat against the outside of your ear. And we'll be displaying them in the other room afterwards so you can get a closer look. Our customers, though, still find them very effective at lightly blocking the sounds of snoring, which a lot of people use them for, and they're also great for tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears. They use custom 23 millimeter speakers that are less than a 1/4 inch thick. That's how we maintain such a thin profile. We even hired an engineer who used to be in charge of Apple's acoustic lab to tune the speakers so we're getting the best sound quality possible. They stay on your ears using infinitely adjustable memory wire ear hooks, just like this. So they just wrap around your ear like that and allows them to stay on your ear so that while you're rolling around in bed, they'll stay put. We're a bootstrapped company. Since we launched, we've sold over 50,000 units. We would have sold more, but we've faced some manufacturing challenges along the way that kind of caused us to run out of stock for various periods of time over the years, but we're working that out. We do have a competitor, and it's called Sleep Phones, and their product is a fleece headband with speakers inside. And the problem with that product, though, is that when you're trying to fall asleep and you're wearing a fleece headband, it raises your body temperature. And when your body temperature goes up, it makes it really difficult to fall asleep. Bed phones, on the other hand, they won't raise your body temperature, and they look good enough that you can wear them all day, every day, as your regular headphones. Sorry, Sleep Phones. My girlfriend and I moved here from New York 3 years ago because I love to mountain bike. Never heard that one. And so I love to listen to mountain bike and ski while listening to music, but the problem is earbuds and full-size headphones, they make it so you can't hear anything else that's going on around you. It makes me unconscious of my surroundings, and it makes me feel really unsafe because who knows, who else is out on the trail with you or out on the street, cars coming by. It's a big problem. So I started using bed phones on all my bike rides because they were the only headphones I could find that allowed me to both hear my music and hear what's going on around me. And they never fell off my ears. And also, because they were so thin, they would fit under my ski helmet too. And that's when I had another idea. A sweat-proof, wireless version of bed phones would make the perfect, bring these up here for drama. I realized that a sweat-proof wireless version of bed phones would make the perfect active sport headphones. And this is how our upcoming VersaFit headphones were born. What makes VersaFit unique is that, like bed phones, they're super thin and adjustable, and they don't go inside your ear, so that while you're running or biking out on the trail, you can hear others and stay alert to what's going on around you. Let's see. And because they're so thin, they fit under virtually all ski, bike, and motorcycle helmets. So they're just that thin. It's kind of hard to see if you're sitting. So I'm sure many of you bike and run and have been at Phil's trails and have encountered someone who's totally unconscious of their surroundings. And so we aim to change all that by allowing users to be aware of their surroundings. As I said, we're a bootstrap company, but we raised $46,000 through crowdfunding at the beginning of this year to manufacture initial production runs of Bedphones Wireless and VersaFit Wireless, which we will be retailing for $120. We're a small company working out of Bentech. We have Anna, who is our project manager. She does our sales, marketing, and finances. And Connor does our customer service, inventory management, and he's in charge of our website redesign. What's great about Anna and Connor, though, is their dedication to helping us grow into both a multiple product company, and I'm out of time.
You did a really nice job. Did you miss anything important?
Just my ass.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you didn't say?
Yeah. So my ask tonight is for an introduction to every bike, ski, snowboard, running, and REI store in Central Oregon and the rest of the country, so that we can bring Bedphones to people
Small ass.
like all of you who are active sports enthusiasts, so we can provide them with a better, comfortable, more safer way to enjoy their music while they're working out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I know it's tough to be interrupted like that. So we have some questions? Yes, Betsy. Can I try those on?
Yes, so the app uses, oh, do you want to repeat the question?
Oh yeah, thanks. I was asleep. Does it tell you when you go to sleep? Does it turn off? Does it talk to you? What does it do?
So the headphones don't sense when you fall asleep. It's all through the app, and the app uses the accelerometer on your phone. So you put your phone next to you in bed, and it senses when you're moving, and when you stop moving, it knows you've fallen asleep, and it turns off your music.
Is that how you use it? You put it over your ear like that?
Oh, opposite.
Under.
Left and right are opposite.
Okay. Did you? Okay, I have a question. When you were doing prototypes, did you ever make any out of Legos?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I couldn't find any Legos thin enough to lie down on, and they're a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. They have those little flat ones.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Now I'm digressing. Go ahead. Patents? Do you have patents or IP protection, and do sponsors get a free pair?
Another good question. So we have a design patent, and we have trademarks, worldwide trademarks. So, and yeah, come talk to me.
Can you show me how it works?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to demo these so you can see, because I have a funny. Yeah.
So it's infinitely adjustable.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they just hook around your ear like.
Oh, that's so awesome. I actually this is oversharing, but I actually have an ear that the earbuds don't fit in, and so I've struggled with this, and so I'm like kind of fascinated by the whole thing. But I'm not going to take up any more time because there's something substantive that wants to happen. Question? Yes.
Totally. I was just waiting for Julie to repeat
Yeah.
the question.
Was that the question? This works really good. Can you? I couldn't hear the last part of what you said. You really? It's not because of the. Go ahead. Yeah. Right. So, yeah. Okay. So markup and margins, and then how are you protecting it? Do trademarks and does IP protection actually help?
It's really hard to protect yourself when you're manufacturing overseas. There's really no surefire way to do it. Having a patent definitely helps. Having a trademark, especially overseas, is like the #1 thing you should start out doing. It hasn't been an issue yet. One thing that we have done to help protect ourselves is we've taken our product off of Amazon. And we're not going to be putting any future products on Amazon because Amazon has kind of become a little bit of a breeding ground for knockoff products. So that's one of the things we're doing. Yes. Yes, so we did a Kickstarter campaign, and then we did Indiegogo In Demand, which is basically, it allows us to continue the Kickstarter campaign indefinitely, basically. So the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo campaign is up and running now, or you can just pre-order through our website.
Okay.
I need to answer one.
And the markup.
So our markup is about, yeah, it's a little sensitive, but our overall profit margin is about 50%.
Thank you so much. Great presentation. Thank you for bearing with me. Good comic timing. Appreciate that. Very nice job. I found those very comfortable too, which is great. So, okay, let's go on to our next speaker, founder and CEO of Locals Compass, Zelaida Salguero. Did I do it? Yes. And Zelaida and I have just met each other, and she's delightful, and I'm really looking forward to hearing about Locals Compass, which is a travel marketplace providing personalized itineraries for travelers in their first market, Bend, Oregon. Come on up. The startup taps into locals' knowledge using personalized itineraries that meet travelers' interests. Zelaida.
There you go. I'm putting my glasses on. He took his glasses off. So thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm super excited, a little bit nervous, but mostly excited. Before diving in, as you've compared this place as the living room to Ben, I figure I would just talk a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico and moved to the States about 12 years ago. 11 of those years were spent in Silicon Valley, and I moved to Bend about 7 months ago. I moved to Bend, just like a lot of people that have moved to Bend, because I fell in love with this place. I committed to Locals Compass, and I said, if I'm going to do this, I have to move to Bend. There's a great community there, and I just have to do it in Bend. I have over 15 years of work experience. The last 6 I've spent in technology companies, both in startups and growth stages. And right before starting Locals Compass, I was the head of customer and enterprise support at a healthcare marketplace, connecting patients with doctors. As in the case of most startups, I wore many hats. I worked in projects involving engineering, implementation, partnerships, marketing, HR, you name it, I worked on it. So I learned a lot, and a lot of what I learned, I've been able to apply to Locals Compass. So the company launched about 2 months ago. It is a travel marketplace that connects travelers with locals for personalized itineraries. And as a lot of other startups, it was born out of a passion. I am very passionate about travel, and I'm very passionate about business. But it was also born out of a need. The more I traveled, the more I found myself wanting an alternative to the planning process. I would spend countless of hours searching on the web for things to do, and how to navigate my destination. And most of the times when I got to my destination, I just had a suboptimal experience. So I missed on the true local kind of experience at my destination. And most of you are familiarized with the process. You spend hours and hours on the web just navigating review sites like Yelp, like TripAdvisor. They actually want a truly authentic local experience when they travel to their destination. And that is actually driven by a lot of millennials who just want that. So knowing about this shift and wanting to change the way that people plan their travels, I created Locals Compass. I believe we are in the right place at the right time to capitalize in this shift in the travel industry. The way that we operate is by having vetted locals design itineraries that are based on the traveler's preferences, style, and even food restrictions. Currently, we have locals in Bend, which is our first market, and our locals are experts in outdoor, family, and adventure travel. Our current business model is a pay-per-itinerary model in which we charge the traveler a fee for the itinerary, and about 50% of that goes to the local, and then the rest of us comes to us. In order for an itinerary to be designed, travelers would come to our website, they choose a local that best matches their travel style, and then they submit a request with information about themselves, which then the local uses to design the itinerary. So what this means is that a traveler who's into an outdoor experience, loves mountain biking, has a gluten-free diet, and is a morning person will get a different itinerary than somebody who's into family, has 2 kids that are ages 3 and 6 who are looking for a more family-friendly activity and places to visit. The end product then is an itinerary that would allow the travelers to navigate their destinations from a local's point of view. So it is important to know we're not a tour guide company. We are also not a concierge type service, nor do we bundle experiences into a package. We operate more like an Uber, where you have somebody who needs to ride with somebody who has the car, and an Airbnb, which connects guests with hosts. Our service is unique in the marketplace because we are actually the only ones who offer an itinerary that is designed by a local. So a lot of companies out there say, oh, we do personalized itineraries for travel, but it's either a concierge type service that is actually looking for the information and connecting with you on the spot, or it's an algorithm. And algorithms are not personalized, not yet at least. So we've identified our biggest competitor as a company in New York who is serving the concierge type service. And they are actually doing it by hiring people on an hourly basis. So that's a huge cost. We believe we will win by gaining efficiencies and automating our processes instead of incurring high direct costs like getting people and paying them an hourly wage. We've identified 3 personas that we're targeting: millennials, business travelers, and families. And even though we recognize there's a global opportunity in the travel industry, we're actually first focusing and moving conservatively by targeting the most visited cities in the US. So there's 10 of them that we've identified, plus 5 initial markets that we're going after. So that's a total of 15 cities that we're targeting. Our goal is to secure half of a percentage of this total. So I'll give you some numbers. So these 15 cities represent about 400 million trips/visits per year. So I'm saying all I want is half of a percentage of that total, which is about 2 million transactions per year. So by year 3, if I have half a percentage of this total, we're looking, and our cost per itinerary, if you do a 2-day itinerary, is $40, we're looking at about $80 million by year 3, which is a big number. And that's conservative. You guys can applaud, yeah. And again, it's starting conservatively because there's a lot of other opportunities that I just don't have time to talk about. We're already working in our next 3 markets, so we started the process on that. We are also going to be adding more value by way of content on our website to attract more people and then grow our user base. In terms of the opportunities that we see for the future, partnerships, collaborations, and building a business-to-business market. We have already started conversations with a couple of hotels in town, as well as businesses and local organizations like Visit Bend, to start shaping what those opportunities could look like in the future. The company was bootstrapped. I was in Silicon Valley, and I saved as much as I could when I made the decision to start this company. But I also raised seed money last year, and I'm actually going to California to possibly raise another round of seed. I am the only founder, and as of a month ago, I was the only employee working on the company. But I'm happy to report that we've hired our first employee, which is Kaylin Metzger over there. Woohoo! She's our community development associate, and we brought her in to help scale our organization in terms of the markets. There's a lot of work to do on the supply side, so we brought her in to help us with that. Our ask: tell your friends and family. We've been learning a lot by being in Bend only, and it's a lot of knowledge that we're going to take over to our next markets. But we realize that being in one market only it's something that we have to work on. So tell your friends and family about Locals Compass. If anybody here is a guru in financial projections, please come talk to me. I'd love to discuss my vision for the business-to-business market. And if you just want to spend a few hours with me and then work with that, that would be great. And then collaborations. If you think that there is synergies in the company that you currently have and Locals Compass, I would be more than delighted to speak with you. Yeah, Q&A.
9 minutes, that was good. Here, I'll just do this. So,
I was so happy that this was here today and not the usual taller one.
So, do we have some questions from the floor? Yes, Janet.
How do you find the locals? How do you integrate that?
How do you find the people and integrate them and control the quality of the recommendations?
Yes, so thank you. So I was hoping somebody would ask that question. So before I started Locals Compass, like I mentioned, I worked at a healthcare marketplace, so I did learn a lot about the operational aspect of building that supply. And for me, it was very important to find people that would have a passion for Bend. They have to have that, a passion for travel and a passion for Locals Compass. And actually, one of our locals is here Go Carla, go Carla. So what we did, I actually just put a Craigslist ad, and we had about 25 people reach out. And then from there, we had an info session, and then we had them submit an application, submit a sample itinerary, and then based on the application, the sample itinerary, and then just the fit, like Otis has mentioned before, finding a fit, even though they're not employees per se, having a really good fit was important because they're going to be the face of the company at the beginning. So a lot of what I did at the beginning was building the supply by creating training manuals and then just preparing them to be able to provide the best service to our customers.
Yes? What channels are you using to advertise your business?
So that is actually something that I'm learning. So we launched March 31st, and we've used April and May to test a lot of things. So we have tested blog posts, we've done Facebook ads, Instagram ads, we've done lead generation campaigns. So based on our initial testing, April and most of this month, we're expanding on that for June. So we're gonna do sweepstakes, more lead generation campaigns, because what we already told us, like, these are the people that consistently are coming back, coming to Facebook, signing up through lead generation efforts. So we've been able to narrow down who to spend our marketing dollars, but we've done a lot of things.
Anything in particular that's working better for you versus another?
Anything that's looking better in terms of what? Working better. At this point, the thing is we're tweaking, so we haven't been able to identifying a pattern that says this is exactly where we need to go. But we do know, out of all the efforts, a market that's consistently coming back. So that we've been able to identify.
Yes?
You mentioned Airbnb. As they move into the experience space, do you see them more as a competitor or a potential partner to help you?
Right. So as Airbnb moves into the consumer experience space, do you view them as a competitor or other?
So that's also a really good question. So I believe that in about a year or two, they'll probably try to do what I'm doing right now, which is good, or they can just buy Locals Compass, because at that point, so part of what I've done, I did a lot of research. I started this process in January of 2016. So I did a lot of research, and I identified who could be a competitor and who could be somebody that could acquire a company. And a lot of the things that we're doing, how we're building it, is to be able to allow for that. So Airbnb right now, I think they missed the mark. They didn't recognize the need for authentic local experiences. And when I say that, I mean not a package, because what they're doing is just packaging, and they've bled their brand. So for right now, they're not a competitor. If anything, a future company to acquire Locals Compass.
Great. One last question here in the middle. What will be your top 10 markets, and how quickly can you put an itinerary together?
Yeah, so right now, purposely we started very manual. So Bend is our only market. We're testing it. And right now it takes about 3 business days to turn around an itinerary. And again, it was consciously made that way so I could see what happens, so I can review the quality of the itinerary before it reaches the customer's hand. We are already working on V2 of the platform, and things that we've discussed with our locals is it shouldn't take that long. Like, each itinerary should take up to 2 hours at the most. And in order to be able to do that, then that means that I need to automate a lot of the process. So again, if I'm going to sell it to a company, I'm selling the data. So I'm working on very streamlining the process so that it takes about 2 hours for the local to be able to turn around the itinerary.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much. I can hardly wait till you're in every market and I can find out where every sushi restaurant across the country is quickly. Okay, so our keynote, I'm really delighted tonight to introduce our keynote, Scott Sandler, who's been a great friend and colleague to me. I didn't actually have anything to do with inviting him, but I'm very happy to announce that he's here. Scott has been a fund manager with Oregon Angel Fund. And for those of you that don't know this, Cascade Angels has really benefited by Oregon Angel Fund's willingness to share best practices, so I really appreciate that. Oregon Angel Fund is a professionally managed venture fund backed by 200 of Oregon's entrepreneurs and tech leaders. For the past 5 years, and it's a major part of the day-to-day activities. Let me start over. Rewind. Has been a fund manager with Oregon Angel Fund, a professionally managed venture fund backed by 200 plus of Oregon's entrepreneurs and tech leaders for the past 5 years, and is a major part of the day-to-day activities that make an investment successful, generating deal flow, evaluating business plans, and managing due diligence. I'm really eager to hear his advice for angels and entrepreneurs alike. Scott?
Thank you, Julie, and thank you all for coming here tonight. What I'd like to talk with you tonight about is funding strategy. And it's wonderful to follow 3 entrepreneurs who have shared with you a little bit about their funding strategy and where they're at with their, in their journey in terms of being able to run their company and not run out of money. As we all know, the process of running a company is really, really hard. Getting it off the ground and getting it to any kind of self-sustaining scale is incredibly difficult, and the lifeblood is cash. And so entrepreneurs spend an inordinate amount of time thinking about cash, how they're going to get it, how they're going to not run out of it, and also how they're going to spend it, and how much of it they're eventually going to get to keep. There's a particular angle on funding strategy, though, that I'd like to focus on, and that is finding alignment between you and your sources of funding. Because I think this is a key element in success. It turns out that finding funding is a lot like marriage. It involves people. People come in all shapes and sizes and colors and attitudes, et cetera, and so do entrepreneurs, and so do investors. They're just people. And so just like a marriage, you're trying to put together the attitudes and expectations of different people. And so, as we all know, if you get married to the wrong person, it's really expensive and difficult and messy to unwind. And the exact same is true with funding. If you find funding and you bring in money from a source that isn't well aligned with you, you're going to end up in a mess, and it's probably going to end badly. So this is the thing that I wanted to focus on today. In order to find funding sources that align well with you, the first thing I would advise, and I have some thoughts on how to think about this, is to know yourself. And this is a little bit tricky. We all think we know ourselves. We've spent, I don't know, at least, what's the youngest entrepreneur in the room? Maybe 25 years old, maybe 20, maybe 18. Actually, I forgot to do this. How many people in the room are founders or CEOs or running companies or involved in running companies or have done that before? So basically the room. That's terrific. So this is a conversation about what you face every day. I myself have never been a founder. However, I was a CEO for 10 years and so faced many of these same challenges in my own business, and I'll share a couple of anecdotes around that. And so the first thing is to know yourself. What do I mean by that? Well, the first thing I think about when I think about that is, do you want to be king or do you want to be rich? Anybody heard that before from the Founder's Dilemmas? So what does that really mean? It means basically at a practical level, do you want to be in control or do you want to share control with others in the interest of growing as fast and as big as you can? Are those mutually exclusive? No. There are some very, very large companies that are completely privately owned, have never raised money, completely bootstrapped, but that's very rare. It's much more likely, as you heard the 3 people on the podium today, 1 was bootstrapped and 2 were looking at outside funding. So I would say those ratios, well, actually, one important thing is that I come from the equity funding side, and we'll talk more about that later, but that really applies to a very small fraction of the number of the total number of companies in the country or in the world. Most companies are bootstrapped or funded out of pocket. And so knowing yourself means knowing your own characteristics around whether you're willing and able to share control effectively or whether you just want to control the whole thing. It's also your appetite for risk. Do you have the appetite to raise a bunch of money from others and then satisfy those expectations, or are you much more comfortable living within your own self and just sharing that risk with yourself, just running the company exactly the way you want? It's also, is this a company that you want to own for the long term and pass on to your kids? Or is it something you want to grow as rapidly as possible so that you can exit it, sell all the equity to somebody else, bring in that cash, and then either retire or go start your next company? These are two very, very different paths. They're both very common, and they're both completely rational. It's just that they're very different. And if you don't know which one of those paths you really want to be on, you're going to have a really hard time finding the right sources of capital to grow your company. There's also the question of mission versus money. In my business, in the Oregon Angel Fund, our business, we see a lot of different entrepreneurs, and we evaluate a lot of business plans, and we talk to people and really learn their stories as we evaluate whether we want to get engaged with them in order to think about providing funding. And one of the things that we look for is, what are the motives, of course? And one of the things that can, I think, well, we're unabashed capitalists. I'll just be completely honest about that. We're looking to make money. We have a bunch of money. We're going to invest it. We need money back. And when we encounter entrepreneurs who are very highly focused on the mission and not so much on the money, we wish them well. We provide them plenty of help. But we want to avoid investing there because we know that our interests are not aligned. And so it's really important to think about whether you're more interested in the mission or in really building a business. And that doesn't mean that really well-run businesses can't fulfill a mission to do well by doing good. But it's really important to know what that balance is. The other piece is to know your personal income requirements. Are you willing to work for years at very low or no pay? Can you do that? What's going to happen? Because if you're not, it's probably not the right thing to do to start a business. This business is going to consume all of your capital, and even if you raise money from others, they're going to expect you to use that to hire other people, not pay yourself. So it's really important to figure out how you're going to sustain yourself through the startup and early growth years. I got some, part of knowing yourself is knowing your cash needs. I mean, down to the dollar. And some people think they know that innately, and maybe they do. I'm talking about building a model. I'm talking about using a spreadsheet to build a model. How many people are really comfortable with Excel? Oh, good. I'm so glad to see that. Because, I mean, to me, that's a core skill for a founder or a CEO. I have a personal experience with this. I'm pretty good with Excel, but when I got my CEO job, I thought, okay, I hired this great controller, and she came in, she's a great controller. She was on top of the collections, the books were right, everything was great, and I asked her to build a model of how the cash flow worked in the business, how it came in, how we recognized revenue, et cetera. She was lost, because this was a modeling exercise. It wasn't a retrospective what happened exercise. It's a what's going to happen in the future exercise. And a controller isn't geared to think that way. So then I said, all right, well, maybe I need to go find a consulting CFO. I've never been a CFO. I don't know how that works. And so I tried that, and I tried maybe two or three different consulting CFOs, and I asked them to build those models. None of it worked. I had to build it myself. So I had this massive spreadsheet, and you get your head inside it for hours or days at a time, and you really know how it works. That's what you need in order to be able to describe how your business works to those who you are going to seek to work with for funding. If you don't have that model, if you don't know exactly how money comes in, how you spend it, what your unit economics are, and how that can change in the future so that you can play what-if games. What if I had $1 million? What would I do with it? How would that turn into revenue? How would that turn into profit someday? How would that turn into value? It's going to be a very, very difficult conversation with anybody, whether it's a bank, even sources of grant funding. They're going to want to know how your business works. So please, as part of knowing yourself, make sure that you build that model. And if you don't know how to do that, find people that can show you, but then do it yourself, please. Now, funding strategy. Okay, so you've done these self-evaluation exercises, you've built a model. Now, where are you going to find funding? And I'm not saying this is one after the other, it's probably in parallel. But what are the sources you might consider? Well, we mentioned grants. There are some businesses, more scientifically oriented typically, and other kinds of businesses that might be eligible for some free money. Some people, somebody might just write you a check to help you grow your business. It's very, very rare. It's only a small subset of businesses that are eligible for anything like that, and I'm not an expert in it. There are others in the room. Brian can connect you to the right people to help you understand what sources might be available of grant funding. There's also bank financing. How many people have got an SBA loan? Very, very few. How many people have tried to go get an SBA loan and not gotten one? Only a few more. Well, these are available. They're available to, again, a subset of businesses. Again, I'm not an expert in this area at all. Brian, you know who to send them to and help them navigate that path, I'm sure. How many of you know Brian and know that he's a resource to help you with all of this stuff that I'm gonna talk about and then go back to Portland? So Brian will still be here to help you figure this out. The most important source of funding, though, is yourself. If that's counterintuitive, let me say it again. The most important source of funding is yourself. And the best way to do this is bootstrapping. If you, and by what I mean by that is to use money you've got lying around, use your own funds to buy the parts to build your first one. Sell that to somebody. Use the money from that to build 2. Sell those to somebody. Use the money from those to build 4, and so on, and build it up from there. The other way to bootstrap, and maybe a little bit more powerful, is to invent something, come up with a product idea that's so powerful and compels customers to such a degree that you can get them to pay you up front. Maybe you have to build a prototype or a demo and be able to show them how much that's going to help their life. I was talking to a pair of young entrepreneurs today, and they've got a very, very simple product, but they've got a passionate following. They did a Kickstarter. Anybody that's raised money successfully through a Kickstarter has something of a passionate following. Well, you know that there's only a limited scale to that. But what if you go back to those people and say, hey, if you pre-order more from our website, I'll send you product as it gets made. And then maybe you could amass enough cash to actually buy the equipment that you need to build these in greater scale. So I think getting creative about how you bring in money from customers and pay that back in product such that you're paying back in pennies on the dollar, 50 cents on the dollar, is a really powerful way to think. The other way to do it out of pocket is one way that I've seen a lot is to have a spouse who's got a great job. And so therefore, I'm not kidding. That is a valid entrepreneurial. I see some high-fiving here. That's probably exactly the way you guys did it, Gator. Yeah. Who else has done it that way? A couple of people. So this is an important thing. This brings up another piece of alignment, right? So if you're going to found a company and run this company and not get paid very well, I hope you've talked about it with your spouse or your significant other. And especially if you decide to use this next funding technique, this self-funding technique that I'm going to describe, which is mortgaging the house. Please talk about that with your partner first. They'll probably ask you when to sign the papers. So bootstrapping, out of pocket, a lot of people get stuck on, I need outside funding because they don't want to take a cut, they don't want to not get paid, or they don't want to take the risk of running out of money. But that's what it's really all about. The best entrepreneurs jump off the cliff knowing they're going to succeed. And that's what, many times, that's what funding funders are looking for, especially when we're talking about equity funders, we want to be in it together. We want to know that you've taken this leap, because guess what? All we've got is the strings on our parachute attached to you, right? Our money is just gone if you don't do the right things to make the business successful. So we want to be in alignment on that. We're jumping off the cliff with you. So we've talked about the various ways. Let me get on to selling equity. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, I even heard it tonight, that when you get funding, you give up part of the company. And I ask you to think about the language around this. As an equity investor, I have a little struggle with this, because what I think I'm buying is something of value. I'm not asking you to give me or us anything. It's a quid pro. To me, it's a fair trade. You know, I wouldn't come up to you and ask you for your bicycle. You know, and I'm not asking you for your stock. I'm saying I'm making an offer of cash in return for some of that equity, so that we're in it together and that we make money together. So the language I believe the language affects how we think and feel about things. And so I would ask you to think about using the language selling equity rather than giving up part of the company. So what are we talking about here? Every company on the planet has stock. There's a certain number of shares of stock. If there's only one share that's yours, and you can't sell any of it. But if you want to share it and sell some of it, then you're going to have to create more shares. And then you have the option of giving some to your co-founders, or giving options to your employees, or selling some of it in return for cash, so that you can use that cash, put that cash to work to grow the value of the business. And that's really the deal that you're making. You sell some stock, you get the cash. Your job is to put it to work so that the value of all the shares goes up. Now, eventually, and this is where alignment comes in, it's really important if you're going to sell equity, that you know that the only way, just about, with minor exceptions around the edges, the only way that your investors are ever going to make money is if you sell the company, so that somebody else buys all the equity from you someday. Hopefully that's what you want to do, because if you want to own that company forever, please don't even come talk to me. You know, we can talk. I can help you with your strategy and give you feedback on your pitch deck, et cetera. But, you know, really, if you want to own the company forever, please don't consider selling equity to somebody else. Just know that this is the path. And then understand, what is the time frame? Certain investors are looking for much shorter time frames than others. Some are patient, some are anxious. You know, 2 to 3 years probably is the minimum for an equity type of investment threshold. We have a 10-year life on each of our funds. We've got one company still in our 2007 fund that's doing great. That brings up another story, which is what happens when you sell equity to somebody, an investor, and then you're running the company, you're having so much fun that you really don't want to sell it. You want to keep growing it. There's more to do. Well, you essentially have to find a way to buy it back, buy the equity back. And there's probably somewhere in the document something about how you might do that eventually, and maybe what that expected return might be. If not, then it's going to be a hard negotiation. Remember what I said about being messy and expensive to get out of it? That's what I was talking about. How much time have I got left? 3 minutes. Great. So this is about knowing your funders. Know yourself, know your funders, and find that alignment. You need to understand their motives and expectations. How do you find out? Ask them. You know, somebody on stage, I think Kent's advice really teed this up by saying, do your diligence on them. You know, talk to a lot of different potential investors, find out what makes them tick, what are they looking for, what are their time horizons, what is their return expectations. Many times you hear 10x, right? Why? And you're like, oh my God, that's a huge number. Why 10x? Unfortunately, there's a very simple answer. Most of the companies are going to fail. We're going to put $1 million into 5 companies. 3 of them are going to fail. We've just lost that $3 million. How are we going to make a decent return? It's because we're going to get $10 million back on one of those investments and maybe $2 million back on the other one. That's the reason we're looking for opportunities that could, from sitting here today, when we're evaluating it, have the potential to return 10x. If we're only investing in things that have the potential to do 2 or 3, we're not going to make any money. And I'm sorry, that's what we're in business for. So understanding those things. I told you that story. There's another story about alignment, and this is around the control part. So there's the money part. There's really only two things that matter. There's the financial part and the control part. And you got to balance both of those. Here's a story about a group. It was actually a husband and wife team that went out to raise equity, and we got all the documents done. Everything was ready to go. Finally, we were ready to write the check. They don't want a board. They don't actually want proper governance. They want to control the company themselves. They just would not agree to form a board that was going to give this company proper governance. We never ended up writing the check. We ended up sending the money back to our investors because that's the way our fund is structured. So again, this comes back to alignment. I think that covers pretty much what I want to say. I want to say that I was inspired by watching part of the March PubTalk, and I thank Justin for sending me the link and encouraging me to do that, watching his pitch as well as some of the other things that were done that night. And so I have summarized my talk in haiku. Are we ready?
Wait.
Oh.
I have to get this for my own. I'm doing,
A haiku, a collection of entrepreneurial haiku?
It's history being made. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so funding is so hard. Know yourself. Know your funders. Align interests.
Okay, let's have some questions for Scott, and I'll repeat them. Yes? Can you talk about some of Oregon Angel Fund's successful investments in Oregon?
Yes, of course. So our most successful to date was Elemental Technology. This is a company that, with some young founders that had some really good ideas, and we gave them a lot of feedback, didn't fund them when they first came to us. This happens a lot. They came back later with a refined business plan, and we invested the very first outside money that went into the company. They went on within a year or so to raise a very significant round for the time. This is in 2007. And then they went on to sell the company to Amazon Web Services a couple of years ago, and I believe it remains our only greater than 10x return at this point. There's another one that we exited in 9 months from when we invested, and here's an interesting story about that. The CEO didn't really understand his cash flow model, and so during diligence, whenever we asked a cash flow question, he said, "I got to go talk to the accountant about that." And that was really frustrating. That was one of the ways that I realized how important this is.
That's great. Yeah. Other questions? Yes. What's the failure rate for Oregon Angel Fund so far?
That is a really fascinating question, Roger, because it's actually really low. And it's accelerating. Well, if you wait long enough, something's got to happen. And there's kind of this feeling in Oregon that things take a long time. We don't really have a fail fast culture. We want people to succeed. We support them for a long time. We also have more of a break-even culture. And so, and actually, the Oregon Angel Fund, we encourage the whole idea of getting to break even so that you control your destiny and can choose what you do next, whether you raise money and can have a better, more leverage on terms. So I think that's another factor on it.
Yes, Tom. Do you have some zombies in the portfolio? And can you, for those of us that, well, I know what they are, but for those of us in the audience that don't know what a zombie is, can you give a little definition?
Yeah. So a zombie company is one that is just eking along, not really growing anymore. They might be breaking even, they're not going out of business, but they're not getting to the point where they're going to produce a return. And so we have a phrase for this, our strategy for this, which is pruning. We're trying to figure out how to do a better job of encouraging companies to do something when they get to that stage. Luckily, it's few. You know, I have a part of our portfolio, and there's 5 of us in the organization. 4 of us have some of the portfolio companies that are ours to shepherd. And I would say that out of my, 7 companies, like 5 are on growth tracks, and a couple are struggling that way. So it's actually fairly low, but there are definitely some.
Questions? Oh, yes. One. How many companies are in the portfolio? 2. How many would you like to have?
Well, I believe at this point, we just closed 2 investments last week, so I think we're at 52 or 53 that we've invested in over the years. And that means the active portfolio is creeping up toward 40, which is a very large number of companies to manage. How many would we like? Well, we invest in 5 to 7 or so every year. We invested in 9 last year. We've closed 5 investments this year already. So we're on track for another very large addition to the portfolio this year.
Yes, go ahead.
How often do you reinvest?
How often do you reinvest? Follow on.
That's actually very rare. For the first several years, we actively avoided it, and that was because we were trying to build a diverse portfolio with limited resources. In the last few years, we've had more resources, and we already have a diverse portfolio, so we've dabbled in that. Haven't done very well with it, frankly. And so that has kind of slaked the appetite, if you will, for doing more. We really believe that it's much better to keep building a more diverse portfolio and focusing on really early stage companies and really help them get to the point where they are ready and eligible for other funders to come in and provide more capital later. There are strategic reasons where we will reinvest. If it looks like a fantastic deal, we'll absolutely consider it. If they really need us to in order to unlock the potential for other investors. So there's a variety of reasons to do it, but there's better reasons not to.
What's the most fun and interesting thing that's happened in your work in the last 30 days?
Oh man, well this is going to sound crazy, but I've been working on multiple deals in parallel for about 8 months, and so getting past that and into a more kind of steady state arrangement is really important. But also closing 2 Internet of Things investments last week, so that's really exciting. Really excited about both of those.
Yes.
Yeah, are all of your investments straight equity, or do you do any that are a mix of debt and equity?
Are all of your investments straight equity, or are some of them a mix between equity and debt?
We are strictly equity investors. Although, let me rephrase that. There's such a thing as convertible debt, convertible notes, so to speak. We will do those from time to time, but really it's with the expectation that it's going to turn into equity within a short period of time. There's, I believe, only 1 company in the portfolio where we have a matured note with no real prospects. It's one of the zombies. No real prospect of it converting to equity anytime soon.
One more question? Maybe one more question? A real humdinger? Do you want to go? Well, Janet usually gets 2 questions, but I'll give Kelly 2 questions tonight. Yes. Is there anything that makes Oregon's investment climate unique or different than other states?
I'm not sure if it's unique, and I've talked to others in LA of all places that said they felt it was similar there, but one of the things that characterizes it is that it's extremely collaborative. It can be competitive. The best companies are looking for money from all the investors, and so if one takes the whole thing, then the others don't get the chance to invest. That can happen, but more we help each other and we co-invest and we share information about companies. I like to think about it like as in it's a village, right? And so the village elders are helping the companies that are just getting started, as I hate to say children, but the younger people starting companies for the first time. And what we're really looking forward to seeing happen here is what's happened in other communities like the Bay Area, the quintessential startup startup community, where you end up with a virtuous cycle, where the people that have founded companies and run them through their whole course and exited are now reinvesting either through the Oregon Angel Fund or through other funds and on their own in starting the next generation of companies. And we're seeing that in the Oregon Angel Fund. Many of our exited entrepreneurs are investors in the fund, and I've even had the pleasure of placing one of those on a board of directors of a company that we were investing in.
Great. Scott, thank you so much. Let's give Scott a round of applause. I do have something for you here, and I have a haiku for you. This tankard is big. Fill it up each time you come to PubTalk. Glad you are here now.
There's only one problem with this one.
Go get it. Go fill it up out there. Thank you so much.
Julie.
Yeah, great job. Okay, so just a couple closing comments, thoughts and ideas for you. In case you'd like to know about, there's some cool events coming up that EDCO has asked me to make you aware of. I have to put my glasses on. Prineville has their annual, no one's laughing, I guess you're used to it. Prineville has their annual luncheon coming up on June 7th, covering their power supply. Space is limited, so register on the EDCO website events page. There's a tech talk happy hour on funding. I'll be on the panel for that. Event details, June 13th, 5 to 7, Thump at the Tech Center. Price for TAO members is $10, non-members is $15. And I look forward to seeing you here next month on June 22nd. And I want you to mark your calendars for this. We'll have, usually once a year, we have a PubTalk in a different city, one of our local Central Oregon cities, and our PubTalk in July on the 27th will be in Prineville. So hope you can make it out there. Drive safe. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being such a great group. Take care.